Hello, everyone. I thought today I would take some time to talk about the Kilmer Garcia situation. He was deported from Maryland to El Salvador, and the Trump administration, the lawyer actually admitted that this was an administrative error and he was sent by mistake. Now, this is something that has been going on for a while, and the wife only found out because she saw pictures of him in the El Salvador prison and recognized his tattoos. Long story short, after a few weeks of protesting and trying to get the courts involved, the federal court had ruled that Mr. Garcia needed to be returned back to the United States. And when the Trump administration was notified about this, they kind of laughed at it and basically said that federal courts have no power over the executive. Now, this next video that I'm going to show you is President Trump being questioned on Air Force One in regards to the ruling. And he was asked that if the Supreme Court ruled that they needed to bring him back, would he comply? Now listen up to this next video.
If the Supreme Court said bring somebody back, I respect the Supreme Court.
Now, I know it was a little hard to hear with all of the noise in the background, but essentially he said that he would comply if the Supreme Court ruled on this because he does have respect for the Supreme Court. Well, it turns out that 4 days ago, the Supreme Court did speak and say that they must return Kilmer Garcia to the United States. Now, at some point, the Trump administration said that the president of El Salvador would not allow them to return this man to the United States. Now, here's where we're going to dive deep into the behavior and the verbiage used, where you can tell that neither of them are looking to return Mr. Garcia.
Mr. President, you said that if the Supreme Court said someone needed to be returned, that you would abide by that. You said that on Air Force One just a few days ago, and they said that it must be facilitated.
Why don't you just say, isn't it wonderful that we're keeping criminals out of our country? Why can't you just say that? Why do you go over and over, and that's why nobody watches you anymore?
Okay, upon listening to this video, a reporter had asked, hey, the Supreme Court had ruled that this Mr. Garcia needs to return to the United States. What do you say to that? And that's typically when Trump doesn't want to answer something, he reverts to deflection and insults. So instead of answering the question, he basically says, why do you keep asking me this question? And why aren't you thanking me for making America safe? And basically, nobody watches your show, you suck. And then after this, they had asked if the president of El Salvador could respond to this question and if he would be willing to return Mr. Garcia. And I want you to listen to what he says.
Do you plan to return him?
Well, I'm supposed to have suggested that I smuggle terrorists into the United States, right? How can I return him to the United States? Like, I smuggle him into the United States, or what do I do? Of course, I'm not going to do it. It's like, the question is preposterous. How can I smuggle a terrorist into the United States? I don't have the power to return him to the United States.
Okay, so what you got from that was the El Salvadorian president says, I can't smuggle somebody into the United States, and I don't have the power to return him to the United States. So two things to pay attention to there. Smuggle, as you can see here, it means to move something illegally. So he's basically saying, I cannot illegally bring this person back to the United States, right? And then he says that I do not have the power to return this person to the United States. What does that tell you? That tells you that Trump is telling him that this person is illegal. I don't want him back, so do not bring him back. That's pretty much it. He's saying he can't smuggle somebody. And then you have the Trump administration saying that the president of El Salvador will not return him. But he will not return him because he's being paid to hold somebody who's a supposed terrorist. And because Trump and the administration has said, we don't want him back. It's illegal to bring him back. He is a criminal. Do not bring him back. If you take a look at this article here, these are updates from the Trump administration. They're trying to make it sound like the El Salvadorian president will not return him, as if they asked and the Salvadoran president say no. But in reality, what we heard was the El Salvadorian president say, I cannot smuggle this illegal citizen back to the United States. I do not have that power. So who has that power?